So yeah, let's get started. This is about the 2022 JEE Advanced Physics section in particular. So this year, IITs have chosen to go about testing fundamental concepts in physics. It's not like you know a particular formula and then you will be able to solve the question. Of course, formulas are quite essential for solving papers in general, especially when it comes to physics. You should remember the formulas, but you must be in a position to get how that particular formula was derived. In fact, this year IITs have gone about testing these kind of fundamental ideas. It's not like they made the question paper very tough and all that. Some um, you need to think beyond what is actually required. No, they have tested how well a student has understood the fundamentals and how much of a practice the student has had over the course of preparation. So really it is time wise you are going to be in crunch. Time crunch is definitely going to be there because that many different areas they have tested in each paper. And also it requires some amount of good time management skills. So what would be required on an aspirant part is to pick wisely the questions where they have had good practice and see within that time frame of 1 hour, which generally aspirant is expected to allot for the physics section. They can how much they can maximize their scores within that 1 hour time frame. So let me tell you what are all the areas that this time IITs have gone about testing in paper 1. Let's talk about in particular the pattern of questions. If you see, there are 8 numerical type questions. There are 6 multi-correct type question and 4 matrix match type questions. So they have completely eliminated out single correct type. This has been the trend that IITs have been following now for quite some time. Elimination of single correct type questions and more of without the options you need to be working on a particular question. They are moving in the direction of the subjective pattern of testing. And that's a good sign that objective approaches are generally not going to work. Although yeah, in multiple choice questions maybe somebody can assume something to be correct and then they can get the other options. But then that is just out of chance that somebody could get it right. And they have kept that also nicely balanced out, where it really does not work out that you can simply assume something, guess it, maybe it could be correct, but it may not be turn out to be right. Also, the assumption that you made, one of the options you took it, you assumed it to be correct, and then you're based on that you're checking the other options. Well, it's just my uh, wish that IITs eliminate this also. It is not that somebody is assuming some option. They based on that they can attempt the other options. Well, yeah, if IITs could remove this also, it would be a very nice way of testing where this guessworks could be completely done away with. Now, coming to the areas from where they have tested, particularly in paper 1, there are no questions relating to wave motion, wave optics. That has been completely omitted in the first paper. There are no questions from photoelectric effect and no questions from Bohr's theory. Other than these areas, I think they have pretty much touched upon every other chapter in physics in paper 1 itself. So you have questions pertaining to kinematics, you have questions pertaining to um, direct loss of motion question is as such not there, but of course loss of motion question is combined with rotation, where you need to be making free body diagrams. This has been the trend for quite some time, where a direct Newton's laws like pulley based problem, wedge based problem, where you need to make free body diagrams, apply constraint relationships. So these kind of things IITs have avoided for quite some time now. Over a period of years, there are no direct testing of wedge constraints, pulley constraints. So these are overly done by coaching institutes that IITs have decided to do away with these kind of question types, but nicely they club Newton's laws of motion, where you need to make FBDs and analyze the situation. They club it with some other areas, and this time they have done it by clubbing it with rotational motion. Work energy power, a direct standalone question is missing in paper 1, but there are questions in paper 1 where work energy power ideas needs to be used in mixing with some other chapters where energy conservations, the ideas of energy are required. Especially there is one question on EMI LC circuit where there is a time varying magnetic field. In that, the idea of energy conservation really plays a part. So direct work energy power question as such is not there, but yeah, they have clubbed it with so many other chapters where you need to think of energy conservation. Finding work done by a force, they have, I think, avoided this time, where you need to find work done by a particular force using integration. So that kind of question is not there. Rotational motion, they have gone on to the classical area where objects are rolling, and then based on that rolling motion you're asked to solve. And then they have clubbed one another rotation question with projectile motion, where one object flies off from a rolling object, and then they have related it to after flying off you need to find some maximum height stuff. So they've clubbed rotation with projectile motion in that sense. And if you see from gravitation, there is a standalone question on gravitation where they have tested questions related to escape velocity. So pretty much on doable lines. And then they have tested some questions from electrostatics. Standalone capacitor questions are there. They have tested question from current electricity, a very nice question from current electricity. They have tested based on symmetry, you need to be answering that. So pretty much magnetic effects, electromagnetic induction, alternating current is missing. So AC is area where they have not directly asked based on an AC circuit, LCR combinations connected to alternating source. So that they have avoided in paper 1, that is not there. Apart from that, they do have questions from nuclear physics, where 2 questions are tested, pretty much testing your fundamentals, how much you have understood the idea of nuclear reactions, Q factors, energy changes associated with nuclear reactions. So this is the area that they have touched upon. Modern physics, pretty much this is the only area where they have tested from nuclear physics. They haven't tested questions from Bohr's theory, model of the atom, photoelectric effect, X-rays. So these are the areas that they have completely avoided. Even coming to fluids, in fluids also, fluid statics has been completely avoided in paper 1. There is a nice question which they have tested from fluid dynamics in mixing with heat and thermodynamics ideas. So gas process, a gas is flowing, undergoing a particular process. So that's the kind of question that they have tested. So essentially fundamental ideas of Bernoulli's principle is what would be used over there. So that is how they have designed the paper. So there are no questions from summing it up, no questions from wave optics, no questions from alternating current, no questions from modern physics areas like Bohr's theory, photoelectric effect, X-rays. So these are the areas that they have avoided. Modern physics, nuclear is the only area from which they have tested. So apart from this, in paper 1 itself, they have pretty much touched on every other aspect. Wave optics is not there, wave motion is also not there. So there is no question related to waves in paper 1 as such. SHM, there is no direct standalone question, but there is one subpart in a matrix match where they have given SHM based situation that is also pretty much on a very simple side, not that they require you to analyze SHM in detail. So you can say more or less they've avoided SHM also in paper 1. Other than that, it's a well balanced paper. Difficulty level wise, it's kind of moderate, but time part is the most crucial aspect of paper 1, where you need to be managing within that 1 hour. You pick and maximize your performance in that 1 hour. So you need to have a good fundamental solid understanding of concepts and apply it to problem solving situations. There are many standalone questions they have tested this year, but again, they are all fundamentally tested. It is not like they have given a standard situation where a direct formula would apply. So you need to be working based on your fundamental ideas, apply it, and then solve and get the answer. And there are many standalone in the sense that single chapter based questions like that. They have many single chapter based questions, but where you need to really work and get the answers. So let me just share the screen. You can see a few questions of the paper where which one pertains to which chapter, that also you can just have a look at. So yeah, this is the physics section of the paper. First area where they have tested 8 numerical value questions. There are no negative marks here. If the answer is a decimal, you need to round it off to 2 decimal places. So you see, first one is a question based on gravitation, pretty much on the ideas of using escape velocity. So it requires time for you to work on it. Second one is a nuclear physics based question um, where you need to find out using mass defect related to energy values. The third one is a capacitor based question where again these are all questions where you need to think and work on the circuits. So with practice you could be doing these questions. These are all not very tough questions, but yeah, definitely with practice you can reduce your time of approaching such questions. Then fourth one is a good ray optics based question where I'm just now only taking you through the paper. I'm not discussing the questions as such, that I'm going to be doing it as a separate video. Question by question, I will take it and analyze and discuss it, how you can do it in the shortest possible time, each and every question. That is going to be a separate discussion. But here I'm just taking you through the different questions that have been tested. So yeah, fifth one is where they have combined rotation with projectile motion. Sixth one is a standalone rotation question where rolling is happening. You need to make FBD and you need to solve this particular situation pretty much on the doable side. So this is a very tricky question that they have asked in paper 1. So where you need to think on the spot and get the idea of what is to be done. It is an electromagnetic induction based LC circuit. And eighth one, again, it's a projectile motion based question where suddenly in two regions there are two different G values. So again, you need to go to fundamentals. You need to analyze x-axis motion, y-axis motion separately, write equations along x-axis, y-axis, and solve the question. So there are no direct formulas which are going to be applicable in scenarios like this. And so you need to fundamentally analyze the situation. So that's how they have designed the paper. It's a very good paper, moderate in difficulty level, but time part you need to be very, very careful. You need to have good time management skills. Now this is the second section where MCQs start. A multi-answer correct type, a capacitor with dielectric. Concept wise, pretty much a straightforward concept. Or if you fundamentally have an understanding of what happens in a dielectric, if you're going to change the separation between the plates, how charge flow will happen, what kind of electric field changes happen inside the plates. So based on that, they have designed this question. Pretty much a standard one, but again, time factor. Now going to the 10th one, it's a good current electricity based question where generally you deal with finding effective resistances where symmetries are involved. But here additionally batteries, there are two batteries, and then you need to make use of the ideas of symmetry and solve the question. So if you're going to get the correct fundamental idea, this question can be done in about some 2 to 3 minutes of time. Not that it is very time consuming, but if you're not getting the idea, you might even spend some 10 minutes, but you still may not be able to solve this particular question. So if you get the idea of symmetry, just a hint, see current in R6 and this R5, those current values will be same. That's the idea that they have used in this particular question. Now going to the next one, another MCQ based where they have clubbed the fluid dynamics with heat and thermodynamics. A chimney is there where there is a gas flow happening. You're asked to assume that it is an ideal gas which flows through the chimney of variable cross-sectional area, and based on that you need to club it with fluid dynamics and heat and thermodynamics, adiabatic process they have given. So if you see that they have mentioned that it undergoes one adiabatic expansion, the gas, as it goes from one mouth to the wider mouth. It's undergoing one adiabatic expansion. So it's nicely clubbed question. 12th one is based on ray optics with 4 different options, where you need to work on each and every option to find out whether the statement over there it's correct or not. So if you are going to take each and every option and you're going to verify it, it is again going to take some time. But yeah, this involves your visualization of triangles and making use of geometries relating to angles, parallel lines, and triangles. And then you need to answer each question, each option A, B, C, and D. That's about the 12th one. 13th one is a standalone electrostatics based question, where you need to again go to each and every option and check which is going to be correct and answer it. Pretty much on the doable side, but you need to spend some time on it. Then 14th one is based on nuclear physics. They have asked you to relate this to some kind of Coulombic repulsion. So it's mostly to do with energies associated with a nuclear reaction. So that's about this question. That's the second section done, where you had 6 multiple choice questions. And this is the third section, where there are 4 matrix match type, and in this you do have a negative mark. So since options are given below, you need to match list 1 with list 2, and you have to pick from the options. So there are negative marks in this. Here, these kind of matrix match questions, you can first start with options, look at what options are there, and then go and read the question, so that you can save some time. You can do it within the minimum possible time in which you can do it. If you go for each and every option and then match it, it is definitely going to be taking much more time. So when I'm discussing the paper question by question, you can see my ways of attempting all these questions, how I go about picking and how I attempt the paper, how you should, in fact, how you should be attempting the paper. That is what is about time management when it comes to within that 1 hour time frame, how much you can solve. And then you have another matrix match question based on kinematics, relative motion. Again, 4 different questions. You need to be working on all the 4 different options. Each and every statement, 1, 2, 3, and 4, you need to work and you need to match. So matrix matching, there is when options are given, there is a particular way in which if you approach it, it is going to be less time consuming. I will take that as a separate discussion. 17th one is again heat and thermodynamics based, a matrix match question. And if you go to the last one, the 18th one, it's a ray optics based question, where they have lenses, and based on again 4 different scenarios, you need to be matching the options. So this paper, especially the matrix match area, you need to be in a position to minimize your time and do it from, you go through the options first and then start going through the matrix match part, especially when options are given in the matches. So yeah, that's more or less about the paper 1. Overall, I would say this is a very good paper, very well balanced, nicely designed to test fundamental ideas of the student. It's not questions where you have some tough kind of visualizations required. You need to understand the situation, explore it on the spot. But those kind of questions they have avoided, but definitely this is not going to be a very high scoring paper for sure, because there are very few students who will be able to manage the time, not panic during that 1 hour where they need to be picking questions and then um, attempting the paper. So psychologically, those who can take this kind of a low scoring thing into perspective and not get psyched up during the exam. See, there are questions which they know for sure they can attempt. Given time, they will be able to do it. But within that 1 hour, how much they are going to be doing it, how well they can have hold their mind, temperament, and attempt the paper in that 1 hour, and know that this is not going to be a high scoring paper. They are not the cutoffs and all are going to be pretty much on the lower side for rank wise, I'm saying. So a student who's able to manage that psychologically will be able to perform in such papers. So it's a good paper that IITs have designed in the paper 1 this time. So that's about it. So see you in the next video. Hopefully you guys can practice, and then you can do well in such papers. That's it from my side for now. Bye.